Thank you very much. To be or not to be, that's the question. That's the answer. Don't worry, if you continued, that's the question you're also right. It means you are familiar with Shakespeare's Hamlet. In Act 3, Scene 1, also known as the nursery scene of the tragedy, Hamlet, after enduring a lot of calamities, utters to himself, to be or not to be, that's the question. Whether to snowball in the mind, to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. Many years ago, while I was still growing into the age of reason, in a heavily religious community, I was restless to understand why everyone around me would always talk about God, living righteously, having faith, going to church, and the like, especially in Presbyterian boys' secondary school, where in every corner you would find student Christian groups proselytizing their faith unabashed. My impressionable mind was drawn to the promised passions, joy, tranquility, and confidence exuded in their behaviors. But everyone was talking about it, so I bought into it. It couldn't be that bad, I thought to myself. The problem was that I had a question. A question that looked like an answer. I battled with this question for months, and eventually I approached my father, a respectable elder of the church. What is faith? How does one have faith? Your guess is as good as mine. I was quoted Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. An answer that did not make sense, no matter how many times I repeated it to myself. But whether to be or not to be, that was my dilemma. To be part or not to be part. Whether to join the bandwagon of faith and enjoy the goodies of faith, or wallow in the constant privation of what I could have been missing. That's how I became a Christian. Having faith, hoping for evidence. And that is why a lot of people would agree with Macha G that you cannot reason a person out of a position that he did not reason himself into in the first place. But I disagree, because though I didn't reason myself into faith, I reasoned my way out. Ironically, the constant hoping for evidence pushed me to demand for evidence rather than simply hoping. To be or not to be wasn't just a question, it had become an answer. The answer, to be myself, a human dealing with reality. The spark of curiosity with which I jumped into Christianity with, having suppressed questioning for cajoling emotional experiences, had now become a devouring flame of critical thinking. It was quite impossible to brush off that innate penchant for asking questions, noticing seeming contradictions, and spotting fluff. Fast forward to when I became a humanist and realized that I was guilty of the same behavior. You know what that behavior is? Riding the bandwagon of belonging rather than truly being one. It is easier to call yourself a humanist than to be a humanist. To be or not to be, that's the answer. Humanists don't make promises. We take action. Hence, I would like to thank every humanist who has taken an action. Humanists like Dr. Leo Igwe, Javen, Andrew, Nora, Roslyn, the list goes on, just name a few. And if you're a humanist by name and not by deed, be reminded that humanism is a philosophy not to be fantasized about. It is a philosophy that requires producing changes in the progress we want to see in humanity. It's up to you to be humanist or not to be humanist? That's the answer. Thank you. One special thing I want to do for Dr. Leo, he's surprised, but I want to say that he inspires me so much with the kind of advocacy that he does, and also to Rosalind as well. And sometimes it might feel that we are all alone because the work is very tough. And when you call on certain people, everybody's dragging their feet, but you know that you have to keep going. So when I left Christianity, I was very much into music. But once I left, I dropped the music. So I decided that let me pick a song that resonates well within our space. So this song is dedicated to Dr. Leo and Ross. So this is the song. I'm a bit rusty, so let's sing along. You can know the song. This is also for you again. Woo!